Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's Tuesday is off to a fantastic start. It is July 12th. Thank goodness that's always right in front of me on my computer. I have no idea when it is. July 12th, 2022. A lighthearted chat today, at least that's my intention, unless it spirals down a rabbit hole. I've got a couple topics rolling around in my mind, but one of them I think I need to flesh out a bit more and will be a future show. So I'll table that for now. But maybe I'll throw it out right now so that everybody can kind of get it rolling around in their head, and then maybe for giggles, if you so desire, in the comments here on Instagram or when I post this on the YouTube channel, you can post your thoughts in those comments as to whether or not I'm crazy. So again, this is not fully fleshed out yet, so give me a bit of grace. It's not crystallized. But I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine who shall remain nameless to protect the innocent a couple of days ago. And, we're always talking somewhat about the same topics, be it fitness and what works and doesn't work. And then just people. Human psychology, motivation, what keeps people engaged. Because truth be told, giving people what they need, I don't want to say it's not that difficult, but getting them to stay fired up every day and to keep putting in the work and to grind when they don't want to grind, to not be too hard on themselves and to celebrate things that should be celebrated and to realize that there are going to be ups and downs, that's difficult. That's far more difficult as far as I'm concerned. And so this conversation I was having with a buddy of mine, it kind of spiraled into, okay, well, if we agree that most people are probably too hard on themselves, all right, fair, and be that through social media comparison or thinking that what is an appropriate deadlift or back squat or 5K run is actually it's not appropriate, it's like really incredible, but they consider that now the norm, and so they're far from it, and that kind of wears on them, etc., etc. So, I see a question here that I actually think I might get to. TWB_4. One question I do not think I've seen addressed. What would you recommend for someone wanting to run a marathon while following Linchpin? Okay, so good question. It's funny because one of the things I actually have pulled up to throw out today is somebody who did a half marathon. Not exactly the same, right? Mathematically 50% less, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility and things that people have done. And I will tell you that not only in the private track, the Linchpin Facebook group, but also on the CrossFit Linchpin Squads feature on the BTWB app, there is also an individual by the name of Ryan who loves endurance. He started a specific Linchpin endurance squad where all of that stuff is discussed and lessons learned are gone back and forth for people who have a specific passion for endurance training. So there's stuff out there for sure. Okay, so what my friend and I were discussing, I'm already off track. This isn't what I intended to discuss today. But my friend and I were discussing was, if comparison is out there and people might think, I can't snatch 300 pounds, so I'm just so weak, which is preposterous and stupid. What is like the bare minimum amount of fitness that if somebody had walking around on planet Earth, that they would probably be just fine for regular life? And the key there being regular life, okay? If you're in the NBA, that's not regular life. If you're a professional rugby player, that's not regular life. If you're a member of Delta Force, that's not regular life. Regular life, okay? Where you're running around maybe with the kids, you play a recreational sport, an adult soccer league if you're so inclined, you do some yard work for a few hours. What is the actual bare minimum, some very simple metrics you could have to be like, if you had this, you're probably fine. And we tried to establish what would be that back squat, what would be that deadlift, and there would be a couple other just really simple metrics to use. And we didn't even go down the path of mixed modality. We kept them just singular things. And again, this is not crystallized, so don't hold me to these numbers that I'm going to throw out. But we were just throwing things around like, if you could deadlift 1.5 body weight for one rep, for one rep. And you could back squat maybe your body weight for 5 reps. You could do 5 dead hang pull-ups. You could run a mile, and I don't know what the right mile time would be. I'm just going to throw 8 minutes out there for 1 mile. You don't have to do anything before it, anything after it. You could just run, if it was an all-out effort, could you run a mile in 8 minutes? You know, we could keep going. Again, don't hold me to those. But my point is, those numbers that I just threw out there, for somebody that's been doing CrossFit for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, a 1.5 times body weight deadlift for 1 rep, your back squat, your body weight for 5 reps, to do 5 dead hang pull-ups. And I know dead hang pull-ups are challenging, I get that. But point being, those aren't things that most people would just get knocked over on Instagram. But I think what you actually need in real life to just be totally fine is a lot less than people think. And now, don't twist my words. I'm not saying that that's what you should strive for. I'm not saying that you should figure out what's the minimum acceptable bar and then shoot for the minimum acceptable bar. That is not what I'm saying. It was just more of an interesting philosophical sidebar conversation over sipping some coffee as to, what would that minimum bar be. And then, because CrossFitters are so crazy and much fitter than they give themselves credit for, that minimum bar that I just said, I don't think CrossFitters would realize how challenging that is for a huge part of society. That if you took those things that CrossFitters thought were probably far too easy, let's say an 8-minute mile, 5 dead hang pull-ups, a 1.5 body weight deadlift for 1 single rep, and then back squatting your body weight for 5 reps. That's it. And then you stopped the first 1,000 people that were going to enter your local Walmart, and you had them test those metrics. I think you would be shocked at the failure rate of just regular society, right? I mean, I think people don't give themselves the credit that they need. And again, I'm not saying shoot for the low bar, but it'd be fascinating to know what that is. And then I think if that was established, most people would realize they are way above that. They're doing fantastic. In all honesty, they're crushing it. So again, I might flesh this out a bit more. It's just a cool conversation my buddy and I were having, just, chatting. Anyway, I'm already so far off topic. What this chat was going to be about today was just having a bit of fun. That's all. I pulled some cool comments out that I've seen actually on social media from Linchpinners all around the world that fired me up, that motivated me, and I was just going to share some of them. That's it. Just a feel-good chat. And I did this, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, just sharing some feel-good things, and the response was incredible. People loved it and resonated, and it helped them get motivated and go work out. So why not do it again? So starting in no particular order. This first one's kind of cool. This is from Paul S., who went in to his physician for a routine medical procedure. And then he says, while he was in at the doctor for this routine medical procedure, he's talking to the nurse anesthesiologist, thank you, while he was wheeling me away to the procedure, about CrossFit and how I've loved my CrossFit journey, etc., etc. Talked about Murph, and then here's the awesome part. He happened to mention Linchpin, and the other guy, the anesthesiologist, was also following Linchpin. What an astonishing small world. So he said, holy shnikes, small world, totally made my day. Okay, here is somebody who just asked a question previously about a marathon. This is something I pulled up from Matt N., and this is for half marathon. And this is crazy with just how much progress Matt has made. So he wrote that on July of 2019, so 3 years ago. So it's been a bit, right? How far you can come with consistency. In July of 2019, CrossFit Linchpin programmed a 5K run. There was no way that I could do it. I scaled and ran for 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, I only covered 2,800 meters in 20 minutes. That's all he covered. Now fast forward, sticking with everything, and a few years has gone by. Since that day, I've been working on my running, and yesterday I ran a half marathon. For context, I'm 6'2", 225 pounds, soon to be 35 years old, and I'm a dad of 3, all of them 5 years old and under. Fitness was achieved thanks for programming what is effective and not popular. So yes, it can most certainly be done, and it's being done by regular people with busy lives all over the place. This next one is cool, and there's actually a couple topics in here that could spiral us somewhere else, but I'm going to not let that happen. But I'll throw them out there. Melanie C., she wrote, that's also about running. I don't really like running. The longer, the worser, she says, if that's even a word. Anyway, I got in the run and then did 25 box jumps at 17 inches. That was 5 inches higher than what I've done before, and they weren't even that hard. It looks like RX box jumps may come sooner than I thought. I wouldn't even have attempted these box jumps if it wasn't for Coach's explanation of practice versus training on one of the previous Ask Me Anythings. So these 25 reps that she did as part of the accessory work, I looked at them not as training, but as practice. I'm just practicing my box jumps, getting more confidence, and getting better at the movement. And that's a subtle, yet important and beneficial mindset shift to, again, celebrate some of these things that, step by step pay off. And how that could spiral into another conversation is you could say that there's training versus practice, but there's also testing in there as well, right? And we've spoken about testing versus training mindset, and then also there's training and there's just practice, right? You're going to go into the garage, you're going to do the Bergner warm-up with an empty barbell or a PVC pipe. And so since it's just empty barbell, you're not looking to really build some astonishing muscle fiber and explosive power by the end of that session. What you're doing, so it's not really a big training session, you're just practicing. You're practicing the movement, and that has tremendous value. So Melanie kind of applied that to the box jumps, and life was good. This next one is from Katia F., and she says, wanted to share a little personal win. I did CrossFit at a local affiliate for about 3 years, and in all that time, I always scaled my burpees to stepping down and then stepping up. Today, I did the no equipment option and did the first 50 burpees without stepping down and stepping up. So she jumped in and jumped out of all of them. It's such a small win, but I'm proud of it and wanted to share. And again, that's exactly cool, and celebrating things like that is what keeps you fired up. All right, final little a celebratory thing that we have here, and then I've got a couple of deadlift things to touch on. This is from Boz W. This was a huge Echo Bike PR, and as anyone who's been on the Echo Bike knows, getting a PR on that horrific yet glorious work of Satan, that bike, is something which you are going to earn. So as part of a workout of the accessory work one day, it was 50 calories for time on the bike, and he went ahead and did it that day in 2 minutes and 18 seconds on the Echo Bike, and that was a PR of 1 minute and 30. 1 minute and 30 faster than the last time. That's ridiculous. Okay, final, let's see, one deadlift thing. Is it 2 deadlift things that I have? It's 3 deadlift things that I have. Okay, so the first one, I just got to give a shout out to Nick. Nick B. Anyone who's in Linchpin is probably familiar with Nick. He's a positive voice. He's profoundly helpful. And he just did the deadlift and posted about the deadlift that he achieved, got a new lifetime PR. And he says his old 1 rep max happened all the way back in 2017. And it was 460 pounds, which is a massive lift, by the way. A huge lift. And he hasn't touched that weight in quite some time. He was topping out around 430 and just kind of figured he's 49 years old. That's not old, by the way. That's young. He's 49 years old. He's 6'3", he's not really built for deadlifting, so to speak. 49 years old, 6'3", and weighs about 203 pounds. And he's got a tremendous engine, by the way. So one might think, well, yeah, tall guy, 6'3", 203 pounds, 49 years old, big engine. Yeah, it makes sense that, deadlift's not his wheelhouse. But by the way, what he's been lifting for years, 430, is a monster lift. But then warmed up for the deadlifts, and just guess what? Out of nowhere, just kept stacking weight on, and kept stacking weight on, and kept stacking weight on, and ended at 465 pounds, a brand new lifetime PR, 5 pounds heavier than what he got all the way back in June 2017, where he was 5 years a younger man. So now at 49 years old, 6'3", a new deadlift of 465 pounds. That is a huge, huge lift. And, again, another rabbit hole we could go down. Go look at the Linchpin Instagram page, right? Those are the workouts that we do. Look how frequently, a heavy deadlift day comes up. We heavy deadlift, various rep ranges, we heavy back squat, we front squat, we do all that stuff, but it's not like we heavy deadlift every day. That's for darn sure. And yet people PR all the time and regularly, which leads you to believe one thing. Most people are probably biasing their training a bit too much to lifting heavy every day unnecessarily, and it does not yield the payoff that they think. I know that I've been beating this drum for a long time, and I will continue to do so. There's a way to do it less frequently. Still, we respect the heavy days and we lift heavy, but less frequently than you certainly don't need to do it every darn day. And then that gives you the ability to do many, many other things, which then usher in that glorious and powerful thing called variance. And since the human body is not as well understood as most people would like you to think that it is, exposing yourself to all these glorious pieces of variance actually strengthen you and increase your fitness in ways that aren't as readily understood as some may, again, try to make them be. And so that power of variance, of not beating yourself up all the time, of taking your rest days, and then what does that also allow you to do when you're not beating yourself up all the time and taking rest days and not doing 2 or 3 sessions a day? That allows you to train with intensity. So now we've worked in variance, we've worked in intensity, and we respect the heavy days, and guess what? Great things happen. That was only a small rabbit hole. That was not a big rabbit hole. And then 2 more just cool deadlift stories. This one's from Olivia B, who just pulled the 7x1 deads as well. And the last time we did this exact rep scheme, we've done other deadlift rep schemes, whether it's doubles or triples or 5s or whatever it happens to be. But the last time the 7x1 came up was on January, February, March, April 11th. And then we just posted it today. So it's been about 3 months. So last time when she did a 7x1 deadlift 3 months ago, she ended with a single at 230 pounds, okay? 3 months ago, a single at 230 pounds, which is a phenomenal lift. Fast forward 3 months, and what happens today? Her opening lift was at 235. So what she ended for a single last time, she opened 5 pounds heavier today, and then she got 245 for a double, 250 for a double, and then 255 for a double. So 3 months ago, her 1 rep max is 230. Today, 255 for a double, with no heavy lifting every day. It's almost like something works. And then finally, got to give a shout out, and I saw her on here as well, Melanie H. Melanie, again, crushing it. She set a new, let me read her post here. She says, I had no intention of going for a new deadlift PR, but it happened. So I'm happy. Back last time we did this, she got 260 for 1, and that felt very heavy for the last set. I thought that would be my max, but warm-ups felt smooth, so I decided to try 1 at 265. Remember, her last 1 rep max was 260. So I tried 1 at 265. It felt great. So not only did she set a new 5-pound PR, but she stayed at that new PR for all 7 singles. Which leads me to believe, Melanie, that that's not your 1 rep max, that you've even got a little bit more in the tank, but it's cool that you left it for another day. So again, people putting in the work, it pays off. Consistency is a wonderful thing. Keep crushing it all over the world, everybody. Be kind to each other. I'll keep screenshotting these stories when I find ones that are motivating, and I'll share them with you. Hopefully you will draw some motivation from it as well, and all of us will just advance towards the finish line together. Smart, happy, and healthy. That's the goal. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk later.